Hello, Abnormal Family. I've got another encounter for you today. I think you're going to enjoy this one, and it kind of reminded me of a night I had not too long ago that some of you will probably remember. Um, this one, I think, is something that's probably been in the back of the minds of all of us. So I'll go ahead and get into it, and we'll talk a little bit about it at the end. Don't forget to smash that like button. It helps so much. And thank you all so much for the support you've given me lately. It's going to help so much. I was around 16 years old when this happened. I had been visiting my cousin and ended up staying at his house later than I'd planned. For some reason, I decided to take the back roads home that night. These old roads, they wind through the middle of nowhere, passing by the lake, small creeks, and a large river. I was enjoying the cool night air when I noticed my truck pulling to the side of the road. I stopped, and sure enough, a rock had punctured my tire. I had no spare, and I was about 2 miles from my cousin's house. With no cell phone to call for help, I grabbed my flashlight, and I started walking back to his house. As I walked, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being on edge. I had heard stories about encounters in these woods, and the darkness of the lonely road wasn't helping. To distract myself, I tried thinking of different things. The moon was small, casting minimal light, making every step feel eerie. Everything seemed fine until I crossed the bridge and started whistling. But the loud echoes of my whistling over the creek startled even me. I stopped and I looked around for a moment. I thought I saw something moving up the creek toward me. It was coming toward the bridge. I tried to play it cool, pretending I hadn't seen anything, and continued walking after all. There was nothing around for miles and nothing I could really do. As I continued walking, I started hearing footsteps in the woods beside me. It was definitely following me, and I have to admit, I was terrified. I shone my light into the woods, trying to see what was making the noise, but I couldn't see anything. However, I could hear heavy breathing and the occasional low growls. I was convinced that a wolf or a vicious dog was stalking me, and I feared it would attack me at any moment. To scare it away, I yelled at it to leave me alone, and each time I did, it would back off momentarily, only to return again. This cat-and-mouse game continued, leaving me on edge and frightened. As I walked further, I started hearing a strange mumbling noise, but I couldn't make out what was being said. I approached an old hay barn on the side of the road, and that's when I heard the sound of fingernails or claws scraping against the old tin and the wood. And then I saw it. A dog-like creature was standing on 2 legs on the roof of the barn, illuminated by the moonlight. It walked across the roof on 2 legs. Its long snout was prominent in the darkness. All I could see was its silhouette, but it was enough to scare me almost half to death. Then it let out a blood-curdling scream, and I couldn't help but burst into tears. Then the creature looked down the road and sprinted into the darkness, just as I was trying to process what had just happened. I saw a pair of truck lights in the distance. I flagged down the truck, and it turned out to be a coal miner headed home. He laughed when he saw my tear-stained face and asked me if I was afraid of the dark. I admitted that I was, and I chuckled, saying, and he chuckled, and he said, "You should be." He gave me a ride to my cousin's house, and the next morning we went back to retrieve my truck. After that experience, I vowed never to travel at night unless absolutely necessary. And if I ever break down again, I'll never get out of my vehicle. I also made sure to get a cell phone. Looking back, I believe that creature would have killed me if that truck hadn't came along. I feel that I'm lucky to still be alive. I still have nightmares about that night to this day. I pray that I never encounter one of those creatures again. You hear stories and you watch movies, and you look at it as just some scary movie that's there to scare you. But in reality, these things are real. And whenever you see one in real life, it kind of ruins everything, because Everything you've ever dreamed of, the camping on a creek, the coffee in the morning, the fishing all night, the fire. Then you know that the snap of a twig probably isn't a deer. It may not be a small animal, but it may be something there to eat you, something that's not supposed to exist. I would have laughed at you years ago if you would have told me these things existed. I was one of the people that did not believe in these at all and would walk in the dark with no flashlight. We would coon hunt all night long. Never had any problems. But just that one night, that one flat tire changed my life. Walking back from that truck, that scary night, I will never forget the sound of the gravel under my feet, how loud it echoed through the woods. Everything in the woods had to know that I was walking down that road. I was afraid and I was scared. And I knew that it was stalking me, but deep down I didn't want to admit it. Maybe that's how we keep ourselves rationed during the time. Maybe that's how we keep from going crazy or just completely breaking down. But I was so terrified, so afraid, and so scared. And even today I have trouble going outside into the dark. I have lights all around my house. Even though I don't have trouble at my house, I still have trouble in my mind. Thank you for sharing that, and I can understand if, that happened to you, how that could really bother you and how that could really, cause you to have some sort of PTSD probably from that. That night I got stuck with Sarah and Kaylee the night we was out doing the investigation. Things do run through your mind because at that moment you are helpless and you're in the middle of nowhere. Luckily we had people around we was able to call that would come and help us, and we most generally do have people ready. But it's still the thought for those few minutes, that you're stuck, that if something were to come out of the woods, the only safe place you have to run to is inside of your vehicle, which is full of glass all around you. So I'm not real sure that would be a safe place that you would want to be at that point in time. I really enjoy reading these encounters that you all send in. They remind me a lot, some of them, of me growing up and some of the things that I feared and some of the things that me and my family seen. And it just goes to show that what we were experiencing, we weren't the only ones experiencing this. And back then, not having cell phones or computers or anything, we thought that we had to be the only ones, or at least the very few, because not even the neighbors talked about it for a long time. And then finally they came around and they were having trouble also. So a lot of these stories are hidden back, that a lot of people have had encounters, they just don't feel comfortable to talk about them. And I think it's important that we put it out because people need to know these things. It could potentially save somebody. So I want to thank you guys so much for supporting us and for the donations and everything that's been going on. We're a growing channel right now. We grew over 100 subscribers on the last live, guys. I mean, we're growing so fast. My channel has not grown this fast. I've had some large upticks in the channel, but this is by far the largest and fastest we've ever grown. We're doing really good. YouTube has noticed we're growing. They sent us a congratulations, so they say we're an up and coming channel. So I'm really proud of where we're at with the channel right now. We do have a lot of things coming new to the channel, and I think y'all are going to enjoy where we're taking it. Again, I want to thank my moderators for everything that they do. I couldn't do it without them. They are family. I love you guys. And until next time, guys, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one.